Good evening and welcome to the post-match Blood Red podcast following Liverpool's 1-0 victory at Anfield tonight. We're brought to you in association with NordVPN, who are our official sponsors. My name's Phil Gittins, and I'm joined this evening from the press box at Anfield by the Liverpool Echo's very own Theo Squires. First of all, Theo, your views on what was another nervy evening, but Liverpool got over the line there just at the end.
Yeah, it's one of a relief, really. Like Liverpool, it was an even first half, but as soon as they get that first goal, the relief comes out. The crowd can start to relax a little bit more. They were in control of possession for the majority of Everton. Obviously, very dangerous on set pieces, very dangerous on the counter attack. And we saw at Wembley a couple of weeks ago when Liverpool aren't on it and set pieces, they can be punished. But I thought they were brilliant on them tonight. They defended really well at times. Couple of slip-ups, like Beto probably should have scored in the first half when he gets in behind Virgil van Dijk. But a mature performance from Liverpool to get the result, to restore that 12-point lead. A much-needed goal for Diogo Jota as well. Really well taken in front of the Kop. And after a couple of poor performances or poor results before the international break, that feels a lot better, doesn't it? Liverpool back to winning ways. Right at the start of this Premier League title run in exactly what they needed. Fingers crossed it's more of the same in the weeks ahead.
Yeah, looking at the game tonight, you've already touched on that we had the international break. Of course, that came hot on the heels of two very disappointing results in Europe against PSG. And then in that Carabao Cup final at Wembley, when to all intents and purposes, Liverpool simply did not turn up. They've had a couple of weeks. Of course, most of the players have been away on international duty. They came back tonight. A lot of talk recently about maybe some fatigue showing in the squad. In many respects, one, do you think that international break came at a really good time? And do you also feel that you could see evidence of a bit more freshness in the approach tonight?
I think it did come at a good time. Like Liverpool, they hadn't been at the best probably since the last Merseyside derby, really. They weren't as good in front of goal. They weren't creating as many chances, and when they were creating chances, they were wasting them. It felt like they did need that step away with the countries so they could regroup and then just get a new feel of everything, come back into it fresh and go again for the run-in. It's obviously disappointing to be knocked out of Europe early. It's disappointing to lose a cup final, but you get that bit of perspective, don't you? When you go away with your countries, you can come back for that Premier League run-in. And I think that it's a hard one to really nail down because in the first half, some of the players didn't look at the best. I thought Gravenberch was probably slowing it down a little bit too much. McAllister obviously took a heavy knock from Tarkowski, but whatever Arne Slot said to him at half-time seemed to do the trick. They looked a lot more assured, a lot more like themselves. You can see that they do have a little bit of life left them. I would like to see them rotate a little bit more. I probably think that Wataru Endo should have come on earlier in the game to help see it out a bit more, get a bit of a fiery spark in midfield. But credit to the players that started because they got hold of the result. They got the job done. And when you think it's 10 of the ones who started at Wembley and they didn't turn up in that cup final, the only change being Curtis Jones at right back, we probably should give it a special shout out to as well because I thought he was really good there considering we've never seen him play there in the Premier League before, maybe coming on as a substitute. But he's never started there. And some of the interceptions, he was reading it really well. He didn't look like a player who hadn't played right back before. He got forward well. But yeah, it was a really mature performance from Liverpool in the end, just to get it over the line.
Yeah, just going back to Curtis Jones, in many respects, that's a really big call, isn't it, by Arne Slot? Because, as you've just touched on, not known as a right back. I can't recall, possibly there's maybe one or two occasions when he's done it towards the end of a game, when substitutions have been made and Liverpool are just seeing a game through. But it was a big call to give him that role tonight, particularly when Jarell Quansah, who for me was one of the very few players who probably could leave at Wembley with a bit of credit. So it was a big call. What do you think the thinking was behind that? Is it because Curtis Jones is potentially a lot more comfortable in possession of the ball? Do you think that was part of the plan?
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. Liverpool knew they were going to have a lot of possession today. So Arne Slot obviously went for the ball playing one in Curtis Jones. You want to see him get forward more. Like there was an argument for you could put Quansah in there for the set pieces defensively. But Liverpool at Anfield for a Merseyside derby you don't want to be setting up to defend, do you? You don't want to be sitting back and trying to counter those. You want to play your own game. And they did keep hold of the possession really well. They were passing it around well, and Curtis Jones was a big part of that. He got forward really well. It's probably a weakness of Everton that they couldn't really try and run at him more. They don't have that pace where they can look to exploit him, see if they could get him behind him too much. But you can only play against what's in front of you, and he did really well in that challenge. I wouldn't like to see him play there too often, I'll be honest, for the run-in. I still think he's obviously a very good midfield player, and he's unlucky that he's the fourth man in this midfield three, because there have been so many times this season when you could stake a claim for him to be ahead of a Szoboszlai or a Curtis Jones, ahead of McAllister, sorry. But yeah, it was another really good performance from him. And we saw how far he got in the last derby back at Goodison. I suppose there was a few question marks there on if he could get if it would get under his skin tonight. But yeah, no chance of him getting sent off again tonight. Looking at the possession, Liverpool had 74%. Yeah, he's a big part of that, getting his foot on the ball, passing it around well.
Just how big a result do you think this is psychologically for Liverpool? I've already mentioned the fact that clearly they've had a couple of weeks now to brood on the results against Newcastle. They've come back. They know they've got this 9-game season ahead of them now, in which time 5 wins will probably see them crowned as champions of England. How big psychologically do you think coming through what was a difficult physical examination tonight will be for them now moving forward?
They really needed a win tonight. Because it's been a long 2.5 weeks between games, that seeded out does come in a little bit. You've got that anxiety. You're looking over your shoulder going, what happens if Arsenal win this? What happens if Liverpool drop points here? Does a 12-point lead become 9? Do they eat away at it more and more and more? And when you know Arsenal have got to come to Anfield as well in the running, that makes that anxiety there, that seeded lay there as well. So it was really important to get the points on the board. We saw Arsenal win last night, but Liverpool, they could respond. They got the win. They restored it to 12 points. And how deflating will that be for Arsenal? Because in the first half, Everton probably deserved to be ahead, if we're being honest, when you look at the clear-cut chances. Everton now have Arsenal at home in the 12:30 on Saturday, and while they might be a bit tired after a very lively Merseyside derby, that's not going to be any easy game for Arsenal. Everton won't be pushovers at all. Obviously, in the last games at Goodison Park, they will make that a really tough encounter for Arsenal. So yeah, we'll see what happens there. But yeah, Liverpool, they needed that win. They really needed to get those 2 defeats out of the system, and they've done it successfully tonight. And it doesn't come much better, does it, in a Merseyside derby? Like, you're all nervous during the 90 minutes. You're watching through your fingers. You're like kicking every ball. You're so pulling your hair out. But as soon as that final whistle goes and the result's done, big sigh of relief. That's exactly what everyone wanted. It's exactly what the doctor ordered.
When the team news dropped an hour before kickoff, eyebrows will certainly have been raised to some extent about the addition to the side of Kelleher. Of course, Alisson, it was known that he had concussion and he'd been sent back from international duty for that very reason. I think with Kelleher, maybe the biggest compliment you can pay him is, even in a high-pressure game like this tonight, for me, you never really feel like there's much of a drop-off, do you, when he comes into the team?
No, you don't. He is one of the best number 2s in world football for a reason. You don't really miss Alisson too much, but obviously Alisson is the best in the world. So the goal Everton had disallowed where he gets nutmegged, I don't think Alisson gets nutmegged, because those one-on-ones, that's where Alisson absolutely excels. But for your all-round goalkeeper, Kelleher was great again. Considering how much they put him under pressure on those set pieces, he was coming off his line, punching clear, and he was really under the pressure, and he was managing to win the balls well. He was doing really well. It would be a surprise to see him stay at the club in the summer, let's be honest. Mohamed Ashley's coming in, but he's been number 2 long enough now. If Alisson's going to stay, he deserves to go and be choice elsewhere, and he will be one of the best goalkeepers in the Premier League if he stays in the English top flight. Good luck to him, but we thought at Wembley that would be his last appearance for the club, just because of that whole narrative there about the goalkeeper coming in, and it was a disappointing way for him to go out if it had been, considering he's been this League Cup hero in the past, winning 2 finals, not to get it for a 3rd time. This is a much more fitting finale for him, because Alisson, it was a little bit of a surprise that he wasn't okay today. We know he trained, it's been a long couple of weeks since he got that concussion, But when you've got a keeper the quality of Kelleher, you don't need to rush him through. You don't need to just patch him up. If you wait until Alisson is absolutely 100%, and surely he will be away at Fulham. So if that's the last time Kevin Kelleher wears a Liverpool shirt, then what a memory to go away with. The Merseyside derby, a clean sheet, a victory. Doesn't get much better for him.
And hopefully he'll take away a Premier League winner's medal with him. That would be a fitting tribute to somebody who really has played his role for Liverpool over the last 2 or 3 seasons. Just sort of with one eye on the future, what kind of transfer fee do you think Liverpool could expect to receive for a goalkeeper of that quality? I'm sure there'd be many teams, not only abroad, but also in the Premier League looking at it.
It's a hard one to say because I think he's got a year left on his contract. So normally you'd be saying 20, 30 million. Whatever Liverpool spent on Mamardashvili, which I think was 29, you'd expect Kelleher to be at least the same. But when he's got that year left on his contract, it depends how desperate you are to sell. Like Liverpool probably have an agreement with him to let him go because he's been this loyal number 2 for so long. But the interest has got to be there, and they've got to pay what is a fair asking price. Because we've seen Nottingham Forest come in with I think 10 million, 12 million, something pitiful like that in the past, offering Matt Turner in exchange. And that's not what you accept for a goalkeeper of Kevin Kelleher's quality. He certainly deserves it's a starting opportunity somewhere, but he deserves to actually command a good fee as well. So we'll see what happens with him in the summer. We take 15 maybe, but then we know Liverpool are looking at a few players in the Premier League, and we know PSR comes into it as well. So maybe it's one where you can do a part exchange or something. It just depends what the suitors are and what they're offering, because we probably thought last summer he could go, probably thought the summer before he could go, but no one came in and put in an acceptable bid.
3 points for Liverpool tonight, which is, of course, one of the headlines, but undoubtedly one of the other key aspects of the game is, if I may mention the name of Mr. Barrett, who was the match official this evening. And again, you have to shake your head at times because some of the decisions were baffling, to say the least. James Tarkowski in the first half was shown a yellow card for a really bad challenge on Alexis McAllister. So much so that Duncan Ferguson, who was doing media duties for Sky tonight, alongside Jamie Carragher, even he said that he felt it was a red card. And what baffles me is, why doesn't the fourth official, who we believe was Paul Tierney tonight, I'm just absolutely staggered that he didn't at least get the referee to come over and have a look at the screen. It really is. I think the thing is, Theo, we always hear about inconsistency. And again, this is evidence of it, isn't it, tonight?
Yeah, it is. Like, we've had our Everton reporters with us today, obviously, with it being the derby, and they were saying Tarkowski does this in the first 15, 20 minutes of every game, pretty much, and it was only a matter of time before he gets sent off for one. He flies into a tackle, show he means business, and he's very, very lucky he's not been sent off today. It's a baffling decision. Yes, he wins the ball, but he knows what he's doing in terms of there's the follow-through. I'm sure he doesn't mean to studs into McAllister's calf or whatever it was, but it's a high challenge. He's off the floor, both legs. There's no control there. You can't just use the ball, winning the ball, as an excuse. The VAR looked at it. They said it was a reckless challenge, but is it yellow card enough? I don't think it was. Maybe they should have called him over and had him to look at the monitor. But then Merseyside derby, they're not going to want to send him off early on. It changes the whole landscape of the game. It's just another inconsistent refereeing display. We saw one at the end when Pickford takes out Darwin Núñez because they've already called it back for the foul on Szoboszlai. But then Pickford's obviously got form in Merseyside derbies for making wild tackles after the whistle's gone. It's like, well, if it's in the box and it's still wild and reckless, it's a foul. It's something you still look at. But yeah, it's not a surprise, is it? I'd just be fortunate that Núñez didn't get injured, McAllister didn't get injured, because it looked like at one point he might have to be brought off, might have to be stretched off even. On another day, that is a leg breaker of a tackle from Tarkowski. He's a very, very lucky boy to stay on. But yeah, it's just what he does, apparently, according to our Evertonian counterparts. Maybe that's something that officials need to look at more. Once he gets sent off that first time, he's going to not do it again. But yeah, it was a shame when it happened, because I thought Liverpool started the game well, but that took the sting out of it a little bit, because Everton, obviously, they're a very big side, they're very physical, and that made Liverpool realise, the referee's going to let things go here. I must have missed the memo for things like shirt pull and holding players not being a foul anymore, because he let so much goal in those terms, to the extent that it was getting ironic cheers when Liverpool were winning free kicks here. It was a very inconsistent performance from him. But then it's probably only the Tarkowski one that you think is a glaring error. Premier League released a statement saying it's reckless, but when they've explained the decision, it'll be interesting if we hear from Howard Webb in a few weeks' time on Sky Sports saying whether they agree with it or not. Obviously, it's not something they can look at retrospectively now. We got the yellow card. They can't upgrade it to a red once VAR's ruled. But yeah, a strange one. Good thing it's not the talking point at the final, the main talking point at the final whistle. If Liverpool don't win today, I'm sure Liverpool Pudlians can look to it as an excuse, because if you have a man sent off 15 minutes in, you expect Liverpool to win quite comfortably in a Merseyside derby. But then you could also say, well, maybe Everton just put everyone behind the ball then and defend like hell, maybe get a goal on the counter. Just be glad that the result has gone Liverpool's way, and we're not really blaming the officials for that.
A couple of other really good pieces of news from the result and the performance tonight. I think had Liverpool not taken full points this evening, there's absolutely no two ways about it. The narrative would have been that Liverpool are crumbling, the nerves are beginning to jangle, Arsenal are on good form at the moment, and maybe Liverpool are going to bottle the title. In a sense, this result tonight helps to just put those comments to bed, doesn't it? For now, at least.
Yeah, it does. This was going to be one of the toughest games Liverpool have left, because Everton always raise their game for the Merseyside derby. What was it? 9 unbeaten in the Premier League for David Moyes since he returned to Everton. I think that was it. So this might have been his first Premier League defeat since going back there. They are no pushovers. And you look at the squad there, it's not the best team, is it? It's physical, but they're missing some key players like Calvert-Lewin in attack. That needs a bit more quality, and that's something they'll look at the summer. But they have got this amazing work rate, and they've got a great belief in the manager. They've got great fans behind them. They know what they're good at in terms of set pieces, counter attacks. They're physical. They can bully teams if you let them. Like against Manchester United a few weeks back, they absolutely bullied them for 60, 70 minutes. They were deserved to be 2-0 up, and they were unfortunate not to get the win that day, especially with that last-minute dodgy penalty U-turn. But yeah, they're a really good side despite those limitations. So it makes a big difference when you do get that result, and it's certainly one where Liverpool get over the line. Phew, we can get those poor results out of the system. Now we've got this win back, we can focus on the running. You're not going to be nervous because you've still got that 12-point lead, and it's just making sure you're protecting that for as long as you can. They're going to be playing ahead of Arsenal pretty much all of this month, I think. I know Arsenal, they're not going to play against Crystal Palace because of the FA Cup involvement, but you've got that chance then to extend the lead further, and dare I say it, the league could be over before Arsenal even get the chance to come to Anfield and peg it away. It's just Liverpool have to keep getting the job done. Fulham's not going to be easy, but we're going to say that about every game apart from maybe Leicester, because let's be honest, the relegation sides here, they're nothing like the rest of the sides in the Premier League. But yeah, just get the job done. When it's players like Diogo Jota stepping up, thank God for that, because it's long been needed. He hasn't looked the same this season since he got that injury at Chelsea. He had a bit of a reprieve with those goals against Fulham and Nottingham Forest. It's been every single week we're going, who starts up front? None of the players are looking like they're going to stake their claim and grab that shirt, make it their own. But Diogo Jota is certainly taking a big step towards doing that today. Not the best first half, but he made a good impact in the second half. He was linking up well. He was more involved. He was trying to have more shots on goal as well. It's most likely we've seen him for a number of weeks. And it's one where you'd like to think Liverpool go and spend big on a centre forward in the summer, but you'd be very happy for Diogo Jota to remain the understudy.
Yeah, I think if we've always said if Diogo Jota is fit and available every week, then you've got a top quality forward there. I mean, the finish was absolutely exceptional. The feet in the penalty area there, quick feet, dancing around, a number of challenges, and then a very calm, assured finish. That is what he's capable of. And given the fact that Mo Salah has been on somewhat of a drought for him, that's 3 games now without a goal, which for him is absolutely incredible. It is important, isn't it, that the likes of Diogo Jota, the likes of Luis Diaz step up and start to score some goals, because that will be important as we head towards the business end of the campaign now.
Yeah, that's where really the nerves have come in during the last few games, because Liverpool haven't been creating the chances, and when the forwards are getting the chances, they're wasting them. I think back to, what was it, Aston Villa away, when Jota had a really good chance there. Obviously, blazers wide. We saw Nunes missing the open goal. Like, these forwards get chances, but they just haven't been taking them for the last few weeks. Like, there was this stat that, was it, Diaz had 1 in 18, something like that. Nunes had 1 in 12. Jota hadn't scored for 10, and that's not good enough. Like, Mohamed Salah has been in a league of his own all season long, but when the goals dry up, you need someone else to step up. Cody Gakpo had been that man for the majority of the season, but then he gets the injury in the last Merseyside derby, and he's not quite back there yet. So it was long awaited for someone on that bench or someone in that starting 11 to step up, especially on the attacking front, and get the goal. And that's what Diogo Jota's done. As you said, it was brilliant feat from him. Nice little back heel from Luis Diaz to set him up as well. And he did well to win possession back in the first place. I know Evertonians are grumbling because Diaz was offside in the build-up, but Diaz doesn't play it, the defender does. So that's just one of those things, isn't it? If the defender leaves it and Diaz gets the touch, yeah, it's disallowed. That's not what happened. And then Diogo Jota's alert. It's something he's so good at when he comes alive in the box, when he gets the feet. It's that low sense of gravity where he can drop the shoulder, jink past one defender, jink past another, and just put it in that corner. When he's at his best, he picks those finishes. We've not seen it for a few weeks, but we've seen it tonight.
First half this evening, again, I just got the impression with Liverpool, it was a struggle for them up until half-time. Everton were always going to come to Anfield and make it difficult. They were going to be physical, they were going to be strong. And I actually thought on the transition that Everton looked very dangerous. And actually, certainly in that first 45 minutes, that's as open as I've possibly seen Liverpool, in my opinion, under Arne Slot.
Yeah, they were very open at times, and it probably didn't help that because they had so much of the ball that both fullbacks were attacking, and that's not something we've necessarily seen at times. Like Trent Alexander-Arnold can be at times a bit more controlled, move a bit central, or Robertson stays back if Trent's allowed to attack. Whereas now, in this game, it was Jones is getting forward, Robertson's getting forward. And I think part of that would be Jones as a midfielder. You can't limit his attacking attributes because he's already playing out of position. And then you've got Gravenberch, who's not a natural holding midfielder. He still wants to get forward as well. So when he gets the chance. So when you've got them going forward, Everton is sitting deep, it does create those transitions, those opportunities on the counter. And Everton missed a big one in that first half when Beto takes advantage of Van Dijk's slip up and hits the post. He should do better. But when you're talking about what they actually created from those chances, that's one of the few. Liverpool tend to recover pretty well. It is a high-risk strategy, but it's not new, it's not unique, it's not something that's only been since Arne Slot came in. Jurgen Klopp had that throughout his time, and you just got one of the best centre-backs in the world in Virgil van Dijk, and probably successor as one of the best centre-backs in the world next to him in Ibrahima Konate. They are just these absolute machines who are so quick, so powerful, and just win the possession. And then you've still got the midfielders that can stick their foot in when they need to, even against these very physical machines against them, like Takure, like Idrissa Gana Gueye, like even Garner now. He's looking like a really impressive player for Everton. He's coming on leaps and bounds for them. But Liverpool rose to it, and they got back when they needed to. They won the ball back when they needed to. They made some vital interceptions in the box, on the edge of the box, cutting out crosses, and limited those Everton breakaways to the extent that really the only chance you're looking at is the one from Beto. I can't remember Kelleher having to make an actual good save of any note, really.
Second half, again, we always used to associate motivational qualities with Jurgen Klopp. But I think we've seen at half-time here again tonight how Arne Slot does have that ability to get a reaction out of the team, because there's no two ways about it. Liverpool were visibly a yard quicker all over the field in the second half. They moved the ball a lot quicker. There was more intensity about the play. And again, you have to put that down to the manager's input at half-time. I guess the only slight criticism there is, why does it take 45 minutes on a fairly regular basis for Liverpool to get that reaction?
It's a strength and a weakness, isn't it? Because Liverpool under Jurgen Klopp, it was so quick, so they could start games well, but they could also start games really poorly and fall behind in those first 5 minutes, where they slow it down and they're a bit more controlled. And it might not be pretty at times, but then Arne Slot, he is a very good tactician. He's rarely got it wrong. Maybe he does in the League Cup final, maybe he does in Paris. But for the majority, he's managed to analyse the opposition really well and make those changes at half-time. And his team have followed through on them really well for the majority. So I don't think it's something we can necessarily complain about when you get to the results. And that's what Liverpool have done for the majority of the season. It'd be interesting to see if there's a team that can find a way to stop it working. Because obviously you can make that change at half time. It's harder for the opposition manager to then implement his own change to counter it. But it only takes one manager to do that, and then it's something else for others to follow. But yeah, as long as it's working, happy days.
Given what's gone on over the last couple of weeks, I guess there has been, I wouldn't use the word negative, but of course, for the first time this season, maybe one or two people beginning to ask one or two questions about Arne Slot's Liverpool. But I think the encouraging thing is that they've actually shown that they've got that resolution to bounce back. In terms of Arne Slot, in terms of the job that he's done, how far down the line do you think he is in terms of a percentage for it being a Liverpool side that we'll maybe see in another 12 months' time?
It's so hard to say because so many of these players have got question marks against their long-term futures. Like, is Virgil van Dijk or Mohamed Salah, are they going to sign new contracts? We'll wait and see. And then you've got what happens for Nunes, what happens for Jota, what happens for Diaz. I will have a better feel of it after the summer transfer window when he's brought his own players in. And then we'll see as well if it's still, I'm going to turn to the same 14, 15 players, or if he sees it as I can play more of a squad game now because I've got more trust in the overall squad. I still don't know exactly what he wants from his centre forward because for the majority of this season, they haven't been getting too many chances. It's coming from the wide men. And then obviously you've got the absolute quality of Trent Alexander-Arnold. You have to play around that. But then if you take that out, there is not another right back in world football like him. So do you go for the more natural one, like a Conor Bradley? There's going to be a few tweaks there. But a number of sides are going to have to go big in the transfer market, make a few squad, well, even revamps. Say if you think of Arsenal have said they'll go big. Man City will need to go big. Manchester United, Chelsea, Newcastle might need to if they lose a couple of players. You've got the sides going for the Champions League as well. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens in the summer. How Liverpool start next season, it's not necessarily going to be that finished article. We're going to be a few months down the line. Like we could be talking Christmas 2025. Beyond that, going into the new year, before we really see what Arne Slot's Liverpool are actually about for that next generation. This kind of feels like that handover period, doesn't it? It's a Jurgen Klopp side with a sprinkling of Arne Slot. He's taken it to the next level. Jurgen Klopp style wins you cups, it wins you knockout football, it wins you the Champions League. But Arne Slot style, hopefully, wins you a Premier League title.
Yeah, I mean, there's no two ways about it. Liverpool probably far more pragmatic under Arne Slot than they were under the Jurgen Klopp. But just, I mean, when you look at the achievement, we're looking a bit further ahead now. If they do go on and win the Premier League title this season, which is looking like it will, I mean, nobody should underestimate, irrespective of whether he's inherited Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool or not, nobody should underestimate the job that he's done, should they?
No, they shouldn't. You only need to think back 12, 13 months, for last year, how Liverpool were in a really strong position going into April. And it fell apart. They had injuries at the wrong time last season. And that's something that I think he has got credit for, that they haven't had the same extent of injuries this year. But they are managing games a lot better. And it's felt for like 18 months we're going, Liverpool conceded in the first 5 minutes. They've got to turn it around again. And that's something that he's got out the system as well. Like it's another clean sheet today. This is Jurgen Klopp's players, but Arne Slot's made it his side.
Just one final one, Theo. Of course, at the weekend, Liverpool make the journey down to the capital to take on Fulham on a Sunday. That is going to be another difficult game. I think all the games that Liverpool have got left at this stage of the season, it's never going to be straightforward. There is that element of pressure on them. But Fulham at home are a good side, aren't they? And that is going to be another examination of Liverpool. Hopefully, they'll have Conor Bradley back in the mix at the weekend. We'll have to wait and see on that one, and maybe Alisson Becker too. But again, that is a really difficult place to go and get 3 points, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Like we saw them put in a really good show against Arsenal on Tuesday night. If you look at the Premier League table now, they're actually only 5 points off Champions League football if the top five get it this year. So they're still going for Europe at least. Maybe they won't get top five, but there's no reason why they couldn't be in the Conference League or the Europa League. They're a good side with good players and a very good manager in Marco Silva. Anthony Robinson, obviously a very exciting left back, gets forwards well. Someone Liverpool been linked with, maybe a little bit too old to be a replacement for Andy Robertson. But then you've got those dangerous players like Smith Rowe, Adama Traore, Alex Iwobi looks like a completely different player for them than maybe you saw at Everton. They've got, I think Harry Wilson's out injured at the moment, so that's unfortunate because he's been a good player for them this season as well. But Marco Silva's built a really likeable side that plays good football, gets good results. Liverpool are going to have to be at their best, but on their day they can beat anyone. We've seen that this season. It's just, again, getting the nerves out of the system, getting the anxiety out of the system, looking over the shoulder, seeing what Arsenal do, and hopefully, at the very least, ending the weekend with a 10-point lead. But let's go for 12. Let's be positive.
Yeah, let's hope Everton can do us a favour at the weekend in that game at Goodison against Arsenal. Well, thanks very much, Theo, for your time. Hopefully you can pack up your gear and make your way now across the Mersey to go home. I'm sure it's incredibly cold there. And as I say, Liverpool picking up all 3 points and increasing that lead at the top of the Premier League to 12 with level games now with Arsenal. Thank you very much for watching our full-time Blood Red podcast here with the Liverpool Echo. And we'll be back with you again next time.